So, you've written a story. Congratulations! But the journey doesn't end there. Editing is where your story truly takes shape. Today, we'll walk through the key steps of the editing process, from getting feedback to fine-tuning your final draft. Hi, I'm Charlotte Glaze, an author, illustrator, and mom. I recently wrote and illustrated my first book, and I'm excited to share what I've learned about editing. This is part of my series on publishing picture books, so hit that subscribe button to stay updated with new videos. Before we dive in, I want to let you know that my picture book, Storm Trucks, is available on Kickstarter right now. Check out the link below to grab your copy, and thanks for your support. Let's dive into editing by talking about critique groups. One of the best ways to improve your story is to join a critique group. This is a group of fellow writers or illustrators who share their work with each other and provide helpful feedback. It can feel hard at first, but having fresh eyes on your story is so valuable. They will catch things you missed, suggest new ideas, and help you improve. And remember, everyone is in the group there to help each other grow, so don't be afraid to share your work. I've been a part of several critique groups. A group of local SCBWI writers shared our work over Facebook and gave feedback. I've also participated in in-person sessions and found my favorite critique group through a class I took called Children's Book Pro. There are 5 of us who took the class together, and we still meet once a week over Zoom and share our work. The insights of other people from different stages of life who have different skills and strengths put together can bring your story from blah and confusing to wow. Let me show you one of the critiques I received and share how it changed my story. In an early draft of Storm Trucks, the story was about Axel and his brother Chase. Chase was teasing Axel about being afraid of thunderstorms. A critique I received was, consider making this just Axel's experience. The conflict is loud noises, but there is a second one, his brother teasing and not playing with him. I would like to suggest writing a draft leaving Chase out so you can have Axel use his trucks in the sky strategy, very creative, to help himself weather the storm. I took this advice and revised my story to have only one conflict, fear of thunderstorms. This made the story stronger. After gathering feedback, it's time to start editing. But where do you begin? My advice is to start big and work your way down to the smaller details. When I say start big, I mean focusing on the major elements of your story first, like plot, structure, character development, and pacing. I want to share with you an idea from Invisible Ink by Brian McDonald. He uses the example of an armature from sculpture. An armature is the wire frame that keeps a clay sculpture from caving in. Your story theme or armature should be clear to you, and everything in your story should be built on top of that armature. For example, the armature of the 3 Little Pigs is that hard work is better than laziness. Some big ideas to look for in your story are, is your plot working? Are your characters engaging? Does the story flow naturally? Once you're happy with the big picture, you can move on to smaller details like sentence structure, word choice, and punctuation. It's tempting to fix every little mistake as you go, but focusing on the big issues first will save you a lot of time in the long run. Why make a perfect sentence if you will delete it later because the plot doesn't work? Sometimes, even after a few rounds of editing, something might still feel off. That's when it's time to try something new. Just a quick reminder, my picture book Storm Trucks is live on Kickstarter. Don't miss out on getting your copy. Along with exclusive stickers and bookmarks, check out the link below to support my project. Now, back to our topic. Don't be afraid to experiment with different approaches to your story. Maybe change the point of view, adjust the pacing, or even change the setting completely. The more you experiment, the closer you'll get to finding what works best for your story. And if you're stuck, check out my video on generating new ideas. It might spark some fresh inspiration. One helpful book is Writing Picture Books by Anne Whitford Paul. She gives a lot of exercises and examples for different approaches you could use to amp up your stories. Storm Trucks went through a lot of drafts. It started out with first-person dialogue-heavy story between 2 brothers. After 11 drafts, trying different points of view, styles, tenses, and more, I took away the brother. The next draft I wrote had the basic flow for the final book. From that point, I moved to more specific edits, such as changing word order, changing sentence flow, and other smaller changes. I had 5 more drafts before I realized I could show Axel had conquered his fear by having him help his puppy overcome the same fear. This change really strengthened the story, and from that big change, there were some more minor tweaks. In all, I have 20 drafts saved of my manuscript. Each change helped bring the story closer to its finished product. So, what happens when you get feedback that's tough to swallow? Let's talk about how to handle that. Receiving feedback, especially when it's critical, can be hard. But it's important to remember feedback is a tool to help you improve. Not all feedback will resonate with you, and that's okay. Take what's useful, and don't be afraid to set aside suggestions that don't align with your vision for your story. It's your book, after all. Trust your instincts, but also stay open to the possibility that others might see something you don't. My best advice about feedback is to listen to what others say and then take a few days before making any changes. After your initial reaction to the feedback passes, look at it again and see whether it was good advice or something that doesn't help your story. I have received feedback on stories before and felt hurt about what the other person said. But then, after thinking about it for a few days, I realized that they were right. I made some changes and the story got stronger. A big takeaway from the editing process is that everything can change. Hold your work loosely at first, only cementing the things that are truly the best and strongest parts. You might not know what those are when you first start editing. Before I go, let me share a couple of podcast resources that have helped me hone my editing skills. There are 2 podcasts I highly recommend. The first is You Are a Storyteller by Brian McDonald and Jesse Bryan. This podcast is full of insights on storytelling techniques and literary ideas that can help you think differently about your work. Brian and Jesse discuss the core idea or armature of a story a lot, as well as other interesting ways to look at story structure. The second great podcast is Story Grid by Sean Coyne and Tim Grahl. This podcast is more focused on novel writing, but the principles of storytelling work for any story, short or long. Both of these podcasts are great companions during your editing process, offering advice and inspiration when you need it most. Editing can be a long and sometimes challenging process, but it's also where your story truly comes to life. By joining a critique group, focusing on big picture edits first, trying new approaches, and learning to handle feedback, you'll be well on your way to creating a polished, engaging picture book. And don't forget to check out those podcasts that I mentioned. They're a great way to keep learning and growing as a writer. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to support my work, head over to Kickstarter to back Storm Trucks. You'll get your copy along with some great bonus features. Click the link below to find it, and thank you for your support.